Welcome, welcome, and welcome. It's so good to see so many of you. We have a lot of people we haven't seen in a while. There's the team from Amsterdam. All right, very cool, very good. Quite a few from you, the survivors of the 9-day are on. All right, so.
For all the survivors of the 9-day.
That's right. All right, so welcome you all. Namaste. Okay, so this is a beginning for those of you who haven't been able to join us for the 9-day. This is the beginning of a new teleconferencing format. We have a kind of crash studio, digital studio that we've assembled here in our house as a means of being able to do programs that otherwise we would have rented a facility and people would have applied to. And yeah, since we can't do that anymore, thanks to the coronavirus, the world mother, making sure we stay home for a while. Now we have an opportunity to start interacting more intimately. This is my experience, is that this format is allowing me to get in touch with each of you in ways where the institutional setting made more difficult. So I'm delighted in this technology. We have the ability to interact with you. So these Saturday satsangs are going to be a series of talks in which at some point there will be opportunity to bring forward and ask questions and to interact. So I believe you'll see for yourself what a dynamic interactive opportunity this is to deepen into what I have to bring to all of you, and deepen into your own ability to mature and get clarity about the unfolding of your own spiritual evolution, development. So last night, I was in a state of nonstop revelation. It is as if, cosmic vision came to me. And I was seeing intricacies upon intricacies upon intricacies upon intricacy, and the interconnectedness of the fabric that we take for granted. Right? What is truth? Truth is actually what's already here that we're not noticing or don't even know is there. Truth is not a new thing that we add. It's rather a discovery of what is, a subtraction of that which separates us from what is. So this ability to see through the veils and perceive the incredible intricacies and interwovenness and interrelatedness of every component of what we are has got me to recognize that I'm going to do a series. This Saturday and then subsequent Saturdays will be a series that will look at various aspects of the body and the spiritual path. So I'll give you an outline. Today, we're going to look at the miracle of the body. The next session will be the body and transformation. The next session will be sex and the spiritual path. That should be interesting. And the next will be the relationship and the spiritual path. So those are the four that I see so far. And that's my plan, is this theme of discovery of the inherent design that we're living and taking for granted in order to empower us to become in a right relationship from the one piece of us, in fact, that we have control over, which is our bodies. This ability to recognize that you can heal the universe starting with yourself. So we'll see. I was so in this state that I literally my body couldn't hold it. And I came out and I shared the whole thing with Satsang. We recorded it. I'll use it as the foundation of where we go with this. Much of this is I have to some degree spoken to in varying extents, but the entire how it all fit together into the recognizing of the miracle that our body is really came home to me last night. Now I can thank the 9-day for tuning it up. I'll tell you what it felt like. It felt like I had an electron microscope or a MRI, where wherever I looked, I could see deeper and deeper and deeper into the very fundamental fabric of what I was looking at. And I was looking at the body. I also recognized that I have the same electron telescope where that I could look out into the entire universal structure and see the antecedents, which allowed for the microscope to be able to see what it is the content of our life. And the quality of the consciousness is extremely integrative. That means it doesn't see separation. It rather sees everything all at once and how each piece fits in to the whole. And the thing that was so startling was the intelligence of each piece carries the capacities of the whole. So every molecule, every atom, every corpuscle, every skin cell, every piece of us is an integral part of the fabric, and it carries within it the whole. So this recognition of that got me to see that what the universe is asking is that mankind have the opportunity of stepping out of the narrow way we tend to look at things, the narrow, shallow, unexamined, habitual ways that we get through each day with brief moments of insight or recognition or spiritual experience, is really only scratching the surface of the miracle and the reality that we are, that our body is, and that this creation is. Science, in all its wisdom and all its capacity to penetrate into the very fabric of the design of existence, is a reflection of that process of discovering the what is, the tot, the thisness, the fabric of what's already here. But even they, it was very clear, do not recognize how profound and how huge and how interwoven and intimate is this entire miracle we call life, our life. So even science is always fudging to try to take into account this unmet part of their formulas. Even Einstein with E equals mc squared. It has a little c in there, a little constant, because they can't solve the constant. I don't know what the number is that approximates, whatever. The reason the constant is there is it doesn't quite work without some fudge factor. And that's because science can't see the fudge factor because of the limit of the consciousness that allows for science, the physical attention, the physical measure. But you and I can know that that C factor is consciousness. That little fudge factor is the very essential quality that allows each of you to hear me speak, each of you to figure out the technology enough to be here with us. And that is truth. The foundational field of all existence is chit, consciousness. It has one purpose: to exist. To exist. To be, and whatever that means. Right? The first directive of the little biological toy that created the first organism, the The wind-up coil, the battery, came from this field of consciousness, and the engine, the energy for that little piece of protoplasm to do its dance of life is consciousness. I was watching synthetic biology videotape where they had created corpuscles, little tiny cells, and they were dancing around, bumping into each other and bumping that way. They looked like they were living. They just took two pieces and put it together, and they saw that they could create something that would aggregate, that would eat, that would digest, that would figure things out, and could reproduce. It's like a biological software program or hardware program, you could call it. It was inherent in the design of the matter, a built-in hardware to exist, to live, to breathe, to grow, and to know the nature of existence unbounded from what it may know right now. So we, our whole life, everything we've lived, everything we've wanted, everything we've striven for, everything we seek, long for, cry for, aspire for, comes from this field where the simple direction is exist, be, live. Your body knows this. We add with everybody, of course, with every one of us who has a body develops a personality. And personality has to do with the fact that our bodies are the product of a long-term 14.4 billion year effort of consciousness to come into existence. Our body is the vessel by which consciousness, the fabric of existence, could wake up to itself. And this huge, porous potentiality of the physical brain, where there's really nothing in it but like oatmeal, pudding, carries its unlimited resilience and capacity to interpret and define what existence is in endlessly new ways, except for the habit of the survival structure that comes from evolution that has put us into a certain rigid way by which we, through the senses, define reality. But in fact, every part of our body has this extraordinary resilience, this extraordinary ability to come into existence duly if we would let it. If we'd be willing to discover that potential within each of ourselves. There's no greater power than consciousness. Even matter, which is the clustering together of consciousness into particles, into atomic structures, into organisms, and the inevitable aggregation and possibilities that come from infinite possibilities, from infinite random sets of possibilities. The consciousness that allows for that to happen is actually what we are. In truth, the inner reality of what we are is this unspeakable miracle of a possibility yet to manifest. When we take our attention, which is the power of a self-aware consciousness, and when we start applying it to those parts of our embodiment that we're stuck with, or that's veiling us, or that's obscuring us, our attention empowers those particular particles of matter that we're made up of to be able to grow, expand, and become something it wasn't before. We call that transformation. We see this if you watch the development of a child, the biological changes of a child. If you've had a child, you watch them go through each of the stages. Of course, we take all this for granted because that's the paradigm we were born into. But in fact, it's a miracle. The bones get bigger as the body gets bigger. The body gets bigger, the bones get stronger. There is this huge interconnected interrelationship with every piece of the development of anything organic, anything in creation, even in compounds and elements and physical matter like rocks and stone and dirt. There is this crystalline organization, the fabric of it, that can be changed by an injection, a hammering, an explosion, heat, weathering. So everything in creation, including what seems the most solid, is still the same fundamental principle, carries within it the same, maybe trapped miracle. I blew my microphone out of my ear. It must be blowing out of all my organs, all my orifices. And now what was I saying? It's a whole universe that wants to come out right now, all of it. So I'm trying to let it come out in pieces in a sequential way, so that perhaps you could receive not just the transmission, but the understanding that comes with this. I do know that one of our powerful tools, powerful collaborators, is our intelligence, our ability to gather and organize new information, because it allows us to consciously choose to act in ways other than our programming. So what we're really talking about is creating a new way of seeing, a new way of being that allows you to hold the possibility of the revelation of the nature of the truth of what you already are. And this includes who you already are, including the body, including the all the structures of your personality, including all your ideas of right and wrong and good and bad, including the conditioning of our culture, the conditioning of our sex, the conditioning of our ideas and beliefs. We have a tremendous power inherent. It is the same power of this entire creation. And the difference is, with us, it's self-aware. With us, it has choice. With us, we can make choices different than the hard mechanical wiring of the rest of nature. We can go beyond our instincts, our inclinations. We can choose something beyond the order, the natural order that allowed our bodies and life to come into existence. It's an incredible capacity, and we forget it. We just keep adapting, we keep fitting in, we keep striving to be safe and comfortable, trying to get what we want, avoid what we don't want, lowering our expectations so we can slip through with the least amount of pain and discomfort. So we're using this vast power to get by. So that's true delusion. And the delusion comes from the unexamined reality that is already here right now with each of us. So what is this body? So let's focus on the most simple, the most plain, the most ordinary structure of the fabric of our embodiment. I am in my 71st year. 200 years ago, I would have been lucky to get into my 30s. My awakening didn't happen until I was 50. Maybe I've got 20 more years or more. What kind of body is that? What kind of car could last 70 years? Piece of furniture, TV set, computer. Nothing man-made can compare to the incredible inherent resilience of our biological system. This capacity to literally replace every cell in the body every 7 years, except the brain, and bones are a little slower. Now, literally, the body we have now is not the same body of 7 years ago, or 7 years before that, or 7 years before that. How many 7-year cycles have you lived? The only reason it seems like it's your body is you've been habituated to it, and you don't see the changes that have been occurring. Now, it's inevitable that matter can only hold so much consciousness, even though the human body has this inherent resilience in adaptation. You put a human being who's used to living in wealth, they can learn to live in poverty. You get a human being who's used to living in ignorance, they can learn to discover knowledge, information. They can be educated. There is this inherent design that human beings carry. Now, of course, the biological matter has a tendency to limit what's possible. When we're young, we're much more fluid. We can recover from trauma and events of our lives in ways that as an older person, we may have trouble with, and vice versa. As a more mature and developed human beings, we can put events that would be traumatic for children into a context where it is not traumatic, though difficult. So there is this inherent capacity already with us to be able to shift and change the very fabric of what we consider real in our bodies. So in this retreat, I gave people instructions at the very beginning. And the instruction was taking your attention and becoming aware of your entire body, becoming aware of your toes and your foot, and your ankles and your calves, your thighs, your torso, and all the way up. It was remarkable. It's remarkable how little we pay attention to our body. As a matter of fact, almost everyone with any degree of awakening consciousness lives any place else but its body. You could say that the problem of humanity is we're not grounding ourselves in our embodiment, that we're living as if we're immortal. We're living as if we can't be harmed, or we're living in an idea that has no relationship with the reality of the purpose of our existence. It's just another distraction or a bypass or a story or a racket we run, or a justification or rationalization explanation for why life shows up and why you're so miserable and how they're so wrong. All of this is not embodiment. Embodiment is breathing. Embodiment is a process of coming into relationship with the existence of your body, your physical body, as a start point, to become aware of the machine that you are in that condition of consciousness. And then the next piece of that exercise was to become aware of the central nervous system and the chakra locations. Since our clusters, our nervous clusters are associated with these 7 chakras, so that by being able to align with actually 6 of them, we begin to become aware of the miracle that our body is simply by attending to it, by giving it our attention. The miracle of consciousness in the body is our ability to attend. By attending, the quality of our consciousness goes to that which we attend to, empowers it in the field of our awareness in such a way that the nature of what it is begins to unfold and reveal itself. Not just into our attention, because our attention is more than just our mind. Our attention is the alignment of our system to that which we're attending to. The danger in our modern world is we limit our attention to the focus of our mind or intellect. But in fact, our heart, our gut, our body can attend into existence and experience the revelation of what we're attending to in many multiple dimensions simultaneously. This is what recognition, revelation, realization. These are the ways of consciousness being able to discover the reality of your existence and the existence of the world about you in ways that are outside of the programming and conditioning we've been habituated to and that we've unwittingly made the reality. So what is the body made up of? In Ayurveda, the body is made up of components. This is not abstract. One thing about medicine, Indian Vedic medicine, is they were simple. They dealt with everything in terms of its substance, its quality, its earthiness, or its airness, or its wetness. So it was a way of looking at the body that had the simplicity that points to something of the fabric of what the body is made up of and what is its potential. So in Ayurveda, the body tissues, the dhatu, are this way. And I'll speak of this because I want to speak to the fact that this is happening every time we breathe and eat. So food, right, is matter. We put into our body and it starts getting digested. It starts being dissolved. We start consuming matter. And the body consumes this matter through a process of digestion and creates a fluid. It's called rasa. This fluid then goes into the fabric of the body through the breath and through the fire of our embodiment, right there in the third chakra, and digests the food and converts it into blood, plasma. And the blood, through the beating of the heart, circulates throughout the body and it nourishes the tissue, the muscles, fat, bone, even marrow, and finally semen, or the ovary, the sperm and the ovary. So what the body does is it digests food. It converts it into a quality of consciousness we call biochemistry or bioelectricity. And this energy gets diffuse, it goes into the bloodstream and then empowers and nurtures and feeds all the different organs and all the different parts of our musculature, our fat, our tissues, our muscles. But as it distributed, it gets more and more dense, it accumulates. So for bones to be created, a lot of rasa has to be consecrated, distilled to the point where we get the density of bones. But even a greater density is semen or ovary. Each of those create this incredible density of converted matter, which is much more consciousness than matter. And it's this and the combination of these two with this incredible potentiality of matter and consciousness that creates new life. So if you want to look at even the idea of sex, what is sex? It's an event in biology that affects the consciousness and the entire body. Because in that moment, it's recreating the possibility of existence in a new form. And if you watch the miracle of the unfolding of the ovum as it finds its way to the wall of the womb, and then feeds off the blood and the rasa and the and the energy of the mother, and grows and multiplies, you see that in the seed, in the tiny little seed, carries the whole thing. And the entire pregnancy is incubation to allow the seed to recover its true possibility. And it takes 9 months. And then actually when the newborn child leaves the mother's body, it takes about another 9 months. It has a 2-stage pregnancy. First stage is definitely in the mother's body, and it could be wounded in the mother's body, but second stage is much more vulnerable. And both are necessary in the formation of us, each of us. So when you see it in the context that our breath right now is an engine that feeds the fire, just like in a forge where you have a flame and you feed it with air, that it converts matter into consciousness, that becomes the lifeblood that we live. And all you have to do is watch someone who's dying or just dead. You can see that flame of consciousness, that collaboration of matter with consciousness collapse, and the very quality of consciousness is no longer there. It's just dead matter. You begin to see that there are some basic principles already here, that's already in play, of which we're a part of, and which what we think ourselves to be is our subject to. What's so important is that when we can consciously collaborate with our body's functions, we empower the natural process, which strengthens and empowers the body's resilience to be able to come into a new way of life than what it's been habituated to. For example, how we breathe, what we eat, how we use our body, how we eliminate the food that we eat that moves through the body. If you pay attention to your body, you can become aware of what food works and what food doesn't. Maybe it tastes good, but you don't feel good afterwards. Or maybe it doesn't taste so good, but you feel better afterwards. When we begin to attune ourselves with our bodies, we're doing yoga. When we're habituated to certain postures and movements in life and we start doing yoga, we stretch outside of the bounds of our habitual way of moving and using the body. And it starts opening up ways for the body to work that hadn't been there before. Becoming aware that we're the ones that have the power to break the habit and to consciously collaborate with our bodies as a vessel for that inherent possibility that consciousness can be in each of us, which is what the spiritual path is all about. Consciousness, waking up as a human being, that's the first stage. It woke itself up as a body and a person, a personality. When awakening comes in the spiritual path, we start waking up to a new possibility in our consciousness. But unknowing to many spiritual seekers, we are also waking up with a new possibility for our bodies. When we know our body, then when we come onto the spiritual path and awaken, our body becomes a partner rather than an enemy. And the personality that rises, that's invested in this body, becomes a partner rather than an enemy of this unfolding. So what is this body? What is it that we take for granted, that so 7.4 billion people have, that every living animal has, every plant has, every fish, every kind of life has. What is this body? What's its purpose? Its purpose is to hold the possibility of consciousness to come into existence. It holds the imperative to be, to exist. That's its purpose. And in the entire creation, the human body, the result of billions and millions of years of unfolding, from stardust to compounds to elements to the most primitive forms of life, to every kind of living creatures that's existed in the past, the assemblages of what worked and didn't work, the human body is the most perfect vehicle for that purpose to be fulfilled. Because it's not enough, of course, for consciousness by itself to wake up itself as consciousness, although that's definitely the first thing that happens on the spiritual path, is we wake up as consciousness itself. We become that quality of our soul, that quality of the truth, of the Sat that we are, and begin to tap into that unlimited, unbounding, energetic potential that we always carried, in ways that takes us into states of knowing and experience that hadn't been possible before. But if we leave behind the body, we lose the opportunity of deepening, enriching for that new expanding consciousness to fulfill its purpose in existence, in the person of us. Now, I'm not talking about my spiritual path. I'm not talking about the Bhagavad Gita's spiritual path. I'm talking about the movement of consciousness, the journey of consciousness and its purpose, where we're somewhere in that story of unfolding. Inherent in consciousness into this fabric, this fundamental, unbounded fabric of possibility that consciousness is holding. I call this the world mother, the Tat. That principle of holding, we draw on a field of 0-point energy where any piece of that field has a power of unlimited possibility. So within each of us, when we awaken, we tap into this energy field. And what it does is it turns on our life. It churns up our existence. It churns up our ability to be in relationship. It churns up our capacity to be in life in ways we never imagined possible. We don't need to drink coffee as much. We don't need to sleep as much. Matter of fact, it gets so intense at times you can't sleep, you can't eat. Because you've started to tap into a field of energy that inherently is unbounded. It's only limited by the capacity of the body to include it. It's not unbounded when you leave the body. I mean, it is unbounded when you leave the body, but it's not fulfilling its purpose other than to live in the fullness of its own self-awareness, which is a part of the purpose. But to bring that full self-awareness into our body, we begin to aid the opportunity of matter to become more capable of being the vessel for consciousness to fulfill its purpose. Now, right now, just take a moment and be in your body. Just be in the torso, be in your legs, be in your arms. Just right now, pull inward and be in touch with what's going on in your body in response or reaction to what we've been speaking. See if you can feel the vibrational difference. Can you feel the force the current of consciousness, that bioelectricity, that biochemistry working. Because by the way, consciousness can be felt. That's why there's spiritual experience. That's why there's devotion. That's why there's realization. That's why there's gratitude, awe, and wonder, because it starts activating parts of our body that lied inherent but were not activated. So be aware of what's going on in your body and feel what you're receiving. See if you can feel it. Step out, if you are having troubles with that, step out of this part of you, your head, and put it into your heart. Put it into your belly. Put it in the root of your torso. Feel it from that place of your body. Let yourself breathe in. Feel how the air is feeding the fire. Feel the current, the felt sense of the current of the prana, which is the energy behind the physical air. And feel the apana as you exhale. Feel the movement of that life principle. Take a minute attending to the truth of what you are in a body. Notice where it wants to take you. Some of you, you want to disappear into the bliss of yourself. Some of you, it's just the current. You just want to feel the current, the energy, the bliss, or the discomfort, by the way. Could very well be discomfort of that energy in your body. What you're feeling is the biochemistry. Bliss is a biochemical event. Scientists can break it out into its different substances. It's produced by the body. The body has this inherent capacity to create the felt sense of spiritual energy. Be aware of the energy as like electricity, as just energy. That's the bioelectric body. That means the nervous system is being activated by the enhanced consciousness that you've been receiving. Consciousness in the body is called Agni, fire. It's the fire of our own existence. Chit, consciousness, is fire. It is the transmuting force that digests our food, that converts into physical energy in our muscles, in our heart, in everything that allows us to think, do, act, eat, drink, sleep, have sex. It's all consciousness. There's nothing else but consciousness moving you. Using the body as the fuel to bring it into existence. Fire is the transmuting energy. It converts the lower into the higher. It releases consciousness that's locked up into matter and frees it into its own nature, the current of existence. The purpose expressed as a current of Satchitananda, truth, consciousness, and bliss. See what part of your body is closed. Check your chest, check your neck, check your belly, check your body itself. See if it's numb. You're not feeling anything, or notice if you're having a sensation more in one of these than the other. This is how you attune your attention to discover the nature and the truth of what I'm speaking of in your own experience. To nurture the rest of you to understand and recognize the territory you perhaps have not yet discovered, the untapped potentials that you carry as an embodied self-aware being. See if you can feel the current of the purpose in your body. Be aware of how this is expanding your awareness, because consciousness is the root of your awareness. The awareness is always self-awareness. There's no other kind of awareness but your awareness. Consciousness is enhancing your awareness of what's true. It's turning the light of you on that which is yet to be seen, experienced, known. In the 13th chapter of Gita, when Arjuna asked, what is the field and what is the knower? He was speaking of the battlefield. But what Krishna responded to was the field of our battle. And the body is our field. It is our Kurukshetra. It is the arena by which we redeem and transmute and transform that which we are battling. And one who knows the field is the truth of what you are. So when you know your body, you become the knower of the field. And because your body is intricately interconnected to the entire field of existence, manifest and unmanifest, you discover that your body is the doorway into domains of being that have not yet been available to us. Okay, so now bring yourself back. And now what I'd like to do is open this up for those of you who'd like to interact and talk about this or talk about whatever's there. I don't tie it in because no matter what you come forward to, I'll convert it into something that serves our purpose, if you like it or not. Yes.
So we have Karen Burke.
Karen.
Hello.
Hey.
You can hear me, I assume.
I'm asleep.
I can't hear you. Are you muted?
I'm not.
There you go. There she is. There you are. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever
Good
it is for
afternoon,
you.
yeah, it's afternoon here.
Yeah.
I'm just brewing with excitement. And
Yeah.
it's always that I get that way when I'm around you all the time.
Yeah. The Agni lights your Agni and you're just the
I'm just
unbound.
like, there's this heat and this cold and this just like my nerves are just on fire.
Got it.
The whole body. And I just wanted to say the 9-day was like incredible for me in the body. I had symptoms in my knees, in my hips, in my shoulders, in my right dominant arm. And I had visions of a massive volcano coming up from my belly up through my heart, sprouting this volcanic ash and fire. And I had experienced a bunch of anger, but I also experienced just, wow, this is just like, I'm just wired.
Right.
But then
You're coming into existence exactly the way I'm speaking of, because now you're embodying it.
you're putting into words exactly what I've been feeling for eons.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah.
just so grateful for it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to tell you this one symptom that was really wild during the, I started developing this prickly sensation on my eyebrows, along the side of my nose, cheeks, face, and down my throat. And my skin got really dry. And one morning I woke up and my skin cells were on my eyelashes, and I would literally, I washed my face. My skin was coming off my face in sheets. It was like disgusting. And the burning wouldn't go away. And it was like pinpricks on my face. And it's like a snake shedding skin. And the last day at the completion, the symptoms started to abate quite a bit, but I was really uncomfortable for a couple of days. I couldn't, it just, I was
So
just
is
on fire.
the Kundalini Shakti making room for itself in your body? So that's
Yeah,
what Shakti is, Agni. It's a fire of consciousness. So
yeah. So
the bodied consciousness is the Kundalini Shakti. And the nature is it's trying to fully come all the way up. So it's burning what's in the way in the mentalization of a life where you used your mind to adapt and fit in. Even though the rest of your body knew better, it's this part that was the lock on it for this to now start happening. That was perfect.
yeah, you've been putting in words the sensation that I just have had trouble talking about, or even understanding, or telling other people about. And so I just thank you so much for that.
Good, good. All right, very perfect. Thank you, Karen. So this is allowing you to realize what you already recognized. You're in the process of revelation and realization of what it is that's been going on with you and your body all along. So in this moment, Karen, you are fulfilling your purpose at a level that you hadn't been able to fully, because now your intelligence, your mind is beginning to realize, see the reality, understand it, make it real for you. And that's true for all of you. It's always going to be a process of recognition, which is just a sense of yes, true, to revelation, the nature of that which you're seeing that you had recognized, and then the making it real. What I'm doing here is giving a language for the last, to make it real, not to give you more information. This is useless as an addition to your body of information. But it will be effective when this starts happening in you to be able to recognize and collaborate with it when it comes. So that's what to know about this. All right, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so delighted.
Up next, we have Maggie.
Maggie. Hey.
Hi again.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Doing pretty good. I'm really excited that you're talking about this subject. I love nerding out about all of these things.
Yeah.
And I have been seeing this and feeling this, and really that telescopic, macroscopic, I'm right there. My question though, just since I've been experiencing so many strange bodily symptoms, even though I am applying my awareness and my consciousness to this process, the hair loss is crazy. It's disgusting. I don't know. It's not stopping. It's been weeks. It's been almost 2 months. And I'm like, I know it's about empowerment. I know it's about consciousness. I know, I'm like, what is my body trying to do that I'm not doing for myself?
Okay, so I'll give you 2 ways to hold it, similar to what Karen just shared.
Yeah.
That there's a blockage. And for her, it was the skin shedding.
Mm-hmm.
For you, it's the hair. Maybe the skin will come later.
Yeah, well, it's there too. It's just it's disgusting.
But what's basically doing is consciousness is trying to emerge in you in a greater authority than it's been before. And it's making room for itself by burning out the structures of the mentalization of, is it safe? Is it not safe? Should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? The self-doubt, the questioning, the part of you that knew when she was born, but came into a world and started doubting herself. That all that was additive. So it's burning, it's making room in the physicality of your brain. Literally, that entire area, the whole front, the back, the sides, is now receiving an intensity of this force of consciousness, Agni, and it's starting to suck up the elements that are in the way of its manifestation. So it's not unusual for the body to have these kinds of symptoms: rashes, hair loss, pain in the teeth, blockages and problems with the sinuses all the way up into the head. All of this is a sign of what we call transformation, when the Agni ignites and goes further. Now, you've had a lot of these experiences.
Yeah.
Your body is almost as awake as it can be, but this is the part that doesn't know it's safe. This is the part that now the consciousness is working on. So what you want to do is not make any story about it, not do anything unnecessary. People who have strong symptoms, I recommend go ahead, get yourself checked out to see if they can find anything biologically.
Maggie, I understand that Durgama and Susanna have talked with you.
Yeah, it's not so
Okay.
much it's not so much how to support my physical well-being. It's just every physical challenge I've been through always has a greater, deeper energetic
Right.
component. And in this particular case, it's like the more I align my life, the more my body's expressing these imbalances. And there's so much going on in the collective, and I'm so sensitive to the collective that it's as if the uncertainty and unempowerment of the world is like, my body is just, it's, and so I don't know how much of this is about my not accounting for my greater sensitivities.
Well, I think it's important because there's a number of new people on today that are listening to this talk, that sometimes you do need to get your physical checked. And that's what Shree is also going to say, that though this is transformation, it's always going to show up it shows up in a physical format. But sometimes
we'll talk about this
Yeah.
more, but in your particular case right now is just know that there is a part of you that, yes, is simultaneously connected to the macro as well as the micro. It is a truth that has come to you very young.
Yeah.
But in fact, what's going on with you is personal to your body and to your personality and to the way you had to adapt in terms of coming into life as a person, where many people coming to life as a person is automatic. But in you had to work at coming into your body as a person. So in this way, you're unique. Trust this process, whatever be the outcome. It's going to take you to just what you already know. But the thing in here that so worries, that still doubts herself, that still doesn't know, is the remnant that's being worked on right now.
Yeah. Okay.
The surrender that comes after this is complete relaxation. It's just like, oh, I really don't have anything to worry about at all, ever.
Great. Goodness.
I'm telling you,
That is true.
That is what I'm telling you is the truth, so that your mind can begin to imagine such a condition. Okay?
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I also think we need to, for people who are new to Shree, that if you have physical symptoms that persist, that it's important that you also always check your physical, go see your naturopath or, whatever you need to do, because we also have to be responsible for the vessel. And that's part of being responsible for the vessel. So,
And it's very possible that transformation will set in motion a process that will start
Yes.
disturbing an existing imbalance in order to try to resolve it. So there may have to be some medical intervention to assist you, because it's not about torture. It's not about self-torture. It is, you want to take care of your system so that it can adapt and be open. But if you're in the contraction of an unmet biological condition, then you have to then address that to whatever physical science or medicine can do. Now, I can tell you, I have met innumerable situations where the person was sure they were having a heart attack, or sure that there's something critically wrong
our
with
own
them.
daughter.
Or our own daughter, she had 2 awakenings. In the first awakening, she literally was rushing to the emergency room. She was calling me and saying, "Oh my God, something's terribly wrong. I know it's wrong. We have to get to the hospital." And I said, "Okay, honey, you can go ahead and spend the money in the emergency room, but I got to tell you, you're in an awakening process. They're not going to find anything wrong." So she had so much faith in me that she actually ended up not going to the doctor, but it was the opening.
No, she did go.
Oh, she did go?
She did go.
Okay. They couldn't
But
find
it's-
anything wrong.
Right.
But it was the
hypochondriac.
opening of her coming into life as a spiritual being. So the old ways that we have understood what's safe and not safe, what's okay and not okay, has to shift and expand when we begin to open and activate, either spontaneously or by our own effort, this current of purpose, this Agni fire, because it has a tangible transformative impact. Now, Suresh was able to witness in a case of a huge transformation, as many people who were in India. When the Agni comes in all at once, when the system opens up all at once, then it becomes what would look like madness, what looked like ill health of one form or another. Because the body is suddenly being awakened into a condition of consciousness. It's tapping into the field of 0-point energy in such a way that all the old paradigms are being blown out for that period of time. It's my experience that should that happen, and some of you may have had that experience, is that you just need to be able to find or be sheltered during a period of time where you're not put into an institution or you're not put on unnecessary medications, so that you can let the natural process that's happening have its time. Now, in the case I was talking about, it was about 7 days. And then the whole thing started coming back. But when we first have an awakening, it is the death of our old self. And therefore, anything that's in us, it could be fear, it could be anger, it could be anything. You could lose the fragile balance of your understanding of yourself in the world. These are all symptoms that can occur when the body begins to awaken. And this is nature collaborating with the evolutionary purpose through you, should that be happening for you. Now, if you have gone through this or you've known others to go through this, that can give you a new context for holding what these events may look like. Okay, let's see who else.
Up next, we have Patricia.
Patricia,
Hey,
hey, familiar face. We see you once again.
I don't know whether you've got my message, but in fact, I thought I'd got through this coronavirus, and last night it all started up again. So, God.
The symptoms started up again.
Well, it started up because what happens is that the virus attacks various areas,
Mhm.
and it had remained dormant yesterday, and then it started attacking the throat and the chest. And that was in the middle of the night, as usual. I suppose really the question is whether to simply allow the process of the illness
Mm.
just to take its own path, or whether, from what you were saying, whether consciously one can intervene in the actual areas where it is affecting. Because I can see what's happening, and I also said that I could see that the consciousness in the body was actually affecting the virus. The two of them were interacting.
There is, and
Now,
that's
the
true.
question is whether
And
to.
I do know that what do they do when you have the virus is they give you something that makes you more comfortable, but they have no way to really treat the virus until you actually start losing the ability to breathe. And then you need to intervene.
Yeah.
Yes. So interimly, I was sick for 25 days with something in India that may have been the coronavirus. So it was 25 days and it got very intense in the middle. So the thing that I see with this is that you do what you can to be comfortable, but if the way to quiet the mind, of course, would be to be able to get a test, but you're not going to get a test usually. It's too difficult to do. So then you be with the symptoms, treat the symptoms, and then be with your energy in a way that you keep allowing it to have its time. Because if it's come to you to teach your body something, but also maybe to be able to let you get in touch with its purpose for you. Okay. And how do you feel now? You said it was
Well,
bad last night. How do
I
you feel?
do actually feel better than I did obviously much better than last night. But during the meditation this morning, what seemed to happen was that, rather like Janaka, there was a cave, and out of the cave, like that Uccello draw picture, I don't know if you know it, but where you've got the dragon and you've got the lady holding the leash, and then you've got the knight killing him. It was as if he was being drawn out of the cave, and I asked them what their names were. And the dragon said his name was Fear, and the lady said her name was Courage.
It's a beautiful, beautiful analogy of what's happening with you. Because the reason you're is the fear versus the courage. And where's the courage rise? It rises from how do you convert fear into courage? Faith. Have faith that what's arising is exactly what needs to arise. And then that gives you the capacity to be with what's arising without adding anything more. So right now, you know what to do. I know in my own experience, when the evenings were my low ebbs, that's when the virus would get most intense, and then it would lighten up during the course of the day, and then so on and so forth. That's the nature of a virus anyway. So, but you don't want to overactivate the immune system, so that the other part of this is to stay relaxed, stay at peace. Don't stress it. Don't create a story. There's nothing more you can do. But should the symptoms get severe, then go to a clinic and get some help. Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Patricia.
So we have no one else in line. If those of you want to participate online, please click the participants button and use the raise hand feature.
All right, and don't worry, I can fill the gaps. So the nature of the unfolding of this next series of talks will be to continue to empower you to recognize the structures that have shaped your life and are in the process of transformation in the context of the purpose of your spiritual awakening, in the context of you awakening to that quality that you are in essence, that was there in the very foundation of the creation. Krishna says, I am the self in all beings. We are each the supreme being. What lives us, what gives our discernment, what gives us our ability to grow and change and be different, what gives us our ability to have patience and tolerate, to pull back from our conditioning, is that quality of the supreme being. It's that essential I amness that each of us are. And there's no more powerful way to strengthen our ability to be the knower of the field than resting in the still silence and simplicity of our inner being. This nourishes our ability to be in a more conscious, collaborative relationship with the opportunity of our awakening. Yes.
We have Annalisa
Annalisa,
next.
welcome. Good. She spontaneously came forward. We have progress. All right, girl. Keep putting yourself out there. I'm happy.
One of these days I'll be first.
Yay. All right.
I feel some grief as you're talking.
Can we turn up the sound? Is that it? Go ahead. Continue talking.
I feel some grief as you're talking, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about the history of this body and my own experience of awakening, which feels almost like things happened in reverse. Like I'm not sure, but my birth and childhood there was a lot of physical trauma, a lot of physical drama and resulting trauma. A lot of physical pain, the dislocation of my knees, which led to a series of 4 surgeries that left me in a wheelchair from the age of 11 to 17. And I didn't socialize during those years. I had school over the phone. I was very, very isolated and alone during those years. And at home when my sisters and my parents were at school and working. And that was a time of spiritual development for me, where I read all the works of Shakespeare. I read the Bible, the Book of Mormon. I studied spiritual texts and poetry, and I knew that I was that this sort of the joy of being a young physical person ended rather abruptly as my knees stopped functioning. And as an adult now, finding you and listening to you talk, and then just everything that you're offering, what I tend to experience a lot is what I think I was experiencing as a child. That there are two. There's the spiritual me, and that's a real thing. It's a developed, has roots in early development. And then there's this physical me that feels pretty retarded and immature. And I need help feeling more integrated, experiencing integration. And I find listening to you, it helps a lot. And almost the more integrated I become, the more grief I feel. And joy can come too, but I noticed as you're talking today that I have the welling up of maybe some grief, maybe just some pity for that poor young body.
All right. So, I think you've answered your own question.
Oh.
It's this continuously integration into your body of what's coming. I assure you, Annalisa, what's coming now is not what has been able to come before. And what it is, it's a chunk of your life, really a vital, it's in your vital body. It's in the desire body. It's in you as a woman in relationship with other women and with other men. That whole chunk was missing in your developmental phase. So this is going to be in the belly. This is going to be in the lower chakras. This is going to be and what you are experiencing as the grief is the life unlived. The piece of you that wasn't able to fully come into life. It's not the grief now, because now it's just gratitude, but it is the grief from then. That's accumulation so that you could live with being confined. And when we're confined, grieving just makes it worse. So you swallowed a lot of poison during that period. So this is stored in your body, and it's in that kind of rigidity you carry. That being careful is like somebody learning to walk with bad knees. It is literally, you haven't been able to be fully free and fluid in your authority as an adult, even though in every other way you are very mature, conscious being. It's this piece that is yet to be the work. And this will take some years. So, but it's not anything you want to rush. All you need to know is that every time this grief comes up, you're healing it, you're transforming it, you're transmuting it. And you'll become maybe a party girl, who knows? We'll see how this ends up, you know. We'll have to say cut back, you know, that's all get in the way of your consciousness. But
Well,
that's the problem.
the one place in my life where that rigidity, that kind of the stick up your ass kind of the presentation that I have, it when I'm dancing, I can dance. I have complete, I mean, my lower chakra's open. I mean, I can get down.
Got it. Okay. So dance, girl, dance. Okay. You got it. That's whatever form that may take.
Oh, I'm sorry you weren't with us in Rishikesh.
Yeah.
We had a big dance party. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And
Next
the
time.
idea was we'd continue it here in Washoe, but that got shut down.
Yeah.
Till
So-
later. So we know who to invite.
All right. So in many ways, your body is healed, but the emotional body hasn't caught up with
Yeah.
the body's healing.
Okay.
All right. Very good. Thank you. That was very, very efficient. Thank you, Lisa.
Up next, we have John Sousa.
John, good to see you again. Not been long.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd come forward and say hello and share a little of what's been coming up since the retreat.
Please do.
And so like what I'm noticing is I feel awful in moments. just kind of, I was journaling about this during the retreat, but just the arising or just feeling the kind of unbearable places, or like the feeling of just how can I be with this depth of sensation and pain and feeling, and then just a very deep peace and like an equanimity that is just titrating between the two, and I'm doing my best just to be with it.
Okay. That's your consciousness is then in such a place that when the pain, the anguish, the despair, the grief, whatever that may be, it's coming up to be felt.
Yes.
That's how it's met.
Yeah.
And in the quality of your consciousness, it's dissolving rather than perpetuating itself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So in other times, these things come up, we get overtaken, we lose ourselves, and then it goes into subsidence to rise later another time. But this, when it rises up, each time it rises up, it's being completed, resolved in the presence of the peace. And it's strengthening that quality of you that can do that each time. That's why I call it eating elephant, because the very thing you wouldn't want to eat is exactly the thing to be with in the way you're holding it right now, to convert it into nectar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That feels so just true. And just thank you. Yeah.
I can feel it.
Can I ask one other quick question? The other thing that's really sitting with me right now is just being around other energy fields, people, and just the whole question of, or just the issue of being overtaken or not. And I had an experience like in my kitchen. I live with 6 people, just feeling so, I mean, I'm sensitive, but right now it's just even
super sensitive.
Yeah. But like being around an other energy field, like I had an experience of just that overtakenness, but I stayed with it. I just stayed with it. And I thought like, I've got to talk to this person. I just really need to have a check-in, but then all of that just fell away. and I just saw so clearly like it had nothing to do with them, and just this being with, but there's still a part of like I don't know what I was
It's a
even going to say with
reactivity
that.
that comes instinctually. It's like a
Mhm.
reptilian response in your system
Mm.
because you were traumatized by being so sensitive. So
Yeah.
you create, the trauma builds up in the reptilian, the bioelectrical component of your body, as a
Mhm.
real physical storage. So what you're doing though is this sense of overwhelm or too much is a sign of the trauma. And therefore what we have to do is incrementally expand our ability, because every time you are like in that situation, what's coming forward is the old overwhelm that
Uh-huh.
you tried not to feel,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
blocked it. And
Mhm.
so you are more sensitive because that stuff's now wanting to come also into the light of your consciousness, to be felt, to be
Mm.
experienced out. So that
Mhm.
locked up energy of it can return back into that quality of being that you are. So
Mhm.
you'll have evidence of this when you are in the light with your roommates.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes, they walk into the kitchen and there'll just be this rising of joy to see them. You don't have to speak
Mhm.
anything. Then you'll know that you've transmuted that part of yourself that could be
Yeah.
overwhelmed.
Yeah. Mhm.
Love is proof of truth manifest.
I feel elements of that there now
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's there. It's very
Mm.
close.
Mm.
Very good. All right, John.
Thank you.
Up next, Adya Shakti.
She's back.
I just checked you.
Yay.
Hey,
Did
I
you
am
start?
good to see you twice.
Hi.
Busy.
What did you say?
I said, you've been busy. I got one of your things today.
Oh, okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. I actually had a very practical physical question about the Shakti, the Kundalini rising. I think it started last year after I came back from Tiru. So it's been almost a year and a half, and it's off and on. It started during meditation, which is kind of awkward because it was almost like, back then I wasn't sure, is this a being taking advantage of me? Kind of, it would feel like that.
Well, is it a sexual energy that's coming up?
Yeah.
Is that what's disturbing about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. This is just your second chakra opening up. Because it's
Right.
it's a suppression, to be careful, to be safe, to prevent yourself from abuse. So there's a lot of repression for fear of its consequences from your past. It's no longer there, but it's what is as it moves, the Kundalini, if it comes from the bottom up, will first move with our survival issues, which seem to often have a relationship with our sexual issues. And so the two, because of that area of the body of vulnerability, especially with women, there is a lot of sensitivity to trauma from those channels. Those experiences accumulate and create distortions in our ability to let the Kundalini flow through that. So the secret when those disturbing feelings happen is to recognize that it's the purity of the bliss, of the intensity of the bliss, when it can be felt in the lower chakras, trying to come up to the heart, trying to come up into your whole body.
Right. Well, so a little over a year ago, it would just stay down there. But but since this summer, it's like shooting up.
Yes.
So it
Yeah.
either shoots up like just below the heart or just above the heart, and it's like almost like you get like the
Yeah.
shocks they give you when you're about to die.
You saw, was it Christina who was in, or Christine who was in the last, when we were talking about the Kundalini Shakti, and I was calling it the Kundalini Shakti and she was jumping.
Right.
That's the same thing in you. It's
Yeah.
the Kundalini Shakti. I mean, come on, you're Adya Shakti. So you should, your body is going to become a full blown expression of the fullness of the Kundalini Shakti, which only happens in a body.
Right.
There's the current exists as a vibrational field everywhere, but in the body, it becomes this intense force, power, consciousness, Ananda. And that includes everything that the human is habituated around Ananda. Ananda for a human being is sex, It's the sexual impulse, the sexual desire, but it is also the purity of the bliss of existence in a body.
Right.
So I would not be afraid of it. I would allow for it to occur. As a matter of fact, it evidence that right now, if the sexual arousal comes, don't close it down. Let it come and let it. It's like the universe is trying to make love to you. It's let it have its penetration. Let it come through your whole body. Welcome it.
Right. Well, I tried to relax into it, but then, you know, I can hold it for so long, and then I start to do that movement.
Okay.
I notice also that it's really, it changes a lot with, you know, when I'm talking to Anouk, it triggers it.
That's right. So the jumping is the block. It's the diaphragm of self-worth, or it's not safe, or the diaphragm, that's where all that stuff lives, or it's the control issues, just the power issues that you have that's just above the second chakra. They're in the hara, about how you've been able to use your authority to protect yourself and to come into life. So these...
It's more in the chest that it does the...
Okay, then that's the heart learning to how to be a channel. So there's two parts of the heart. There's a part that fulfills us through relationship. And then there's a part that becomes the means of consciousness to come into existence. So one is personal, one's universal. So becoming, although in your awareness, you're universal, your heart has not yet expanded into that same capacity of your awareness. So this is the catching up of the experience with your awareness. So this will go on until the blockage moves. And there's really nothing you need to do, but know that that is what's happening and that it's good.
Yeah. And just try to relax, or do I have to do anything, like try to push it more up, or?
No, well, I think just to ease it in the flow. It's like the river's coming, there's blockages. There may be a few branches you can move away where the rest of the branches will move all at once. So yes, you can collaborate in that way.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
So when you find the place where the block is by attending to it, you help move the debris, experience out the debris. It could be anguish, it could be angst, it could be anger, it could be any number of things that are stored in the way of the fullness of the heart.
Good.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Hema.
Come on. Come on, there you are. Yes, and our partner.
Yeah, Daniel. Hi.
Daniel, good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be. I have a question.
Yes. Can you move closer to the microphone on your computer so I can hear it? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So last November, I switched fully to the meditation with the world peace meditation and the tatsat and the silent sitting. And since then, if I do the world peace meditation, for me it is hardly impossible to do the 6 lines without mowing.
Without what?
Mowing.
Oh.
So it is yawning. Sorry, yawning.
Yawning. Okay, there we go. Yawning. Well, that is actually an adjustment action that the body is making to accommodate the energy. Yawning and burping.
Yeah.
Burping or yawning is the body's means of trying to channel the energy that's coming into your body.
Yeah. And so that keeps on, and that's what I was also thinking myself, that it was going on, but now it's already there for 5 months. So.
Well, fortunately, you're in social isolation, so you don't have to create too much disturbance in other people who aren't familiar with you. All right, so so look, it's a great sign, Daniel, and I think there is a part of your body that's still having to grow into what's coming to you. It's in your psychic body, not just your physical body. So we have 2 bodies. We have the physical body, and right next to it is an energetic physical body, the subtle body that's closest to the physical. that body is not quite as developed as the physical. So it's trying to, it's here, but it hasn't yet been able to fully come into your body. So this should be very interesting time for you, because as this comes into your body, burping or yawning will be a very mild symptom. Because
Okay.
this would be the current itself.
Okay, great. So I'll just continue. And I have another question, because at night, and it started at the beginning of December, I started to feel like my jaw was tired and stiff. And then a few months later, I realized, and I heard from Gemma, that when I sleep, my teeth are going against each other. And
Clenching your jaw.
excuse me?
Clenching your jaw.
Yes, clenching my jaw. So when I sleep. So, but it's still, yeah, it's like the experience is that it's like it's tired because it's continue at night. So I have a question about that. So what? Yeah.
I'll tell you what, because I had that. I wore off the enamel of all my teeth in the first 4 years of transformation. And I had to get caps on all my teeth because I wore it off. So what I find that helps is by sitting somewhat upright when you sleep. Because what's happening is the energy is coming in and the body doesn't know how to receive it. When we're horizontal, our system is more tamasic, and the energy comes in when we're quiet and relaxed. So it's causing the body to clench down. But when you come up a little bit, like 30 degrees or more, and sleep in that position, like put some pillows behind your head, it can flow through your body without getting locked up. And the body will be more relaxed to receive it. Okay. So that helps. The other thing that helps is I had a thing made that I put on my teeth at night that prevented the teeth from clenching. But now I hardly ever, I mean, years ago, I hardly ever, after those 4 years, it disappeared as a problem.
Okay. Great. Thank
but
you.
It goes to show you that your body is not as ready to receive as it needs to be. So it's also that. So there's the habit of being a man, being in the world, meeting the challenges and demands and controlling your emotions. All that gets stuck in our clench in the mouth. So this is a structure you carry in your body. It's not just here, it's throughout your whole body about how you have to be in life. So it is a reflection of the part of you that is the person, the personality, that doesn't yet know fully what's happening to it.
Okay.
So you might consider getting fitted for one of those. It was too, it's quite expensive, but this is one of the ways you can handle that particular problem, because you don't want to wear down the enamel of all your teeth. It cost me $10,000.
Yeah. Okay.
But it might be your future.
Yeah, who knows?
All right, Daniel, it's good to see you. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, how are we doing? We're at an hour and a half. Oh, we're doing 2 hours? Oh, okay. Well, then we're good. Who else? Anybody else? Oh, I know what we're going to do. We're going to meditate. All right. Why are we going to meditate? We're going to meditate because in this field we've co-created, an energy can come into you with your attention in ways that you would not normally be able to receive. And since we're all doing this together, and there's a lot of you who are joining in with this, we can actually create a kind of an energetic event for yourself so that you can begin to directly experience what we have been talking about, the critical role of your body as a means of coming into the fullness of the truth of what you are. Okay. Look at this. 20 minutes. I am happy. Oh, but before we do that, there are some things I just thought of that I wanted to say. Those of you who may not be getting our notices, we're going to start. I'm going to have a morning meditation, 6 to 7:30 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It'll be just like this. It'll be live. You'll be able to see me. I'll be able to see you if you set yourself up for it. It's a crowdcast.
You just go on to the website under free online events.
Yeah.
And you can go into Crowdcast and sign up.
And
Is
so
that
you
all
can-
we need to do?
Now it's good.
Sadas? It's exactly. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got it. All right.
So you follow the, once you get into the group, I'm losing my train of thought
The
today.
website.
Once you get into the actual event on Crowdcast, there will be a Zoom link. So everybody who's here today followed that Zoom link. But if you aren't receiving the email weekly broadcast mailers, go to the website and if you go to the bottom of the pages, it'll say sign up for free. So you want to do that.
And then the next talk, satsang on this will be next Saturday, same time.
Tuesday, World Peace Meditation,
Yes.
11 o'clock.
Yeah, there's other things on the calendar. All right, that's all I wanted to say. Let us now take advantage of our remaining time together. Be aware of your body. Be aware of the energy in your body. Pay attention to the chakras. Notice what's arising in the middle of your head, in your throat, in your heart, in the area just below your heart, your diaphragm, in your belly, in the area just behind your genitals, in the very lowest part of your spine, near the anus. Just check in and attend to these in sequence as we sit. noticing what arises. It's good to be aware of your breath. While you do so, feel the prana come in and go out. Notice the relationship between your breath and the energy in your body. Notice any sensation, feeling or emotion, contraction or blockage that may be arising in your body. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat Shri. All glory to the Supreme Being. May truth manifest. Namaste.